I mean, I'm a person, I guess, that's made up of a lot of different passions. You know, as you know, we just discussed. I love animals. I always have loved animals. They bring me peace. It's not like it is a borderline. It's like I'm not addicted to animals because I don't drink or do drugs anymore. So now I
Like
collect
Tiger
animals.
King.
I'm like, yo, I'm the hood Tiger King, Alexandra. I can't pull anything past that. She's like, it's concerning to me that you have 8 snakes in a New York City apartment.
Fucking Carol Baskins.
Real. No, but sometimes I gotta check myself, right? And that's real stuff. Like I absolutely love animals and they bring me peace. I like nurturing them, I like caring for them. I like educating people on specific animals. But then I gotta be careful because you only have so much space and you gotta make sure that everything that you have a passion for is manageable. You know what I'm saying? And we could all, get too obsessive with things. And, with that, it's another life. So I always gotta be responsible and careful with that. But yeah, I'm a man of many passions. I love my animals. I love stand-up comedy. I've been doing stand-up for years. I box. I did amateur competition, and now I train people. And so I've managed to make a living and have a livelihood that consists of my many passions, which is great. I don't get paid for caring for animals, but I will clean up some Petland bird shit anytime. If they were still open, I will go there and do that shit for free because I love animals.
So it's like, so this is great because like you have many different layers and journeys. So we'll take it one step at a time.
Exactly.
Which one came first? Like, I guess, was it the comedy stand up or was like, the nurturing of animals and finding like, oh, I always wanted an animal and stuff like that. So
I think the one that pops out first is the animals because since I can remember, I've always had a lot of animals. Right?
Oh, really?
What kind of animals?
So I was living in the projects with my mom to the age of 10, and my mother never said no. I guess she felt like it's a good sense of responsibility for a child to care for the animals, just as long as I, tend to their needs and care for them properly, I can have them. So I had everything from guinea pigs to rabbits to snakes. Yeah, and it's funny because my mother will partake in some of our like business endeavors because she thought, oh, if you get 2 rabbits, they mate well. That's what she told me. I think they mate well. They reproduce well, so we can sell them for like the Easter holidays. And I was like, it's a great idea. So she went ahead, and all she had was a hacksaw blade, no tools, and we attempted to build rabbit cages.
Wow.
Yeah, and she spent like 12 hours on a lopsided ass cage. The mesh was popping out. There was no AC. It was just hot, hot in the apartment. And I got a big drop of sweat in my eyes. Pass me the screwdriver. I was like, we don't have a screwdriver. She's like, give me your hand. Hold this. So we always had animals. But then we had funny situations with animals. Like we and any dog that we found in the street, we had 2 stray dogs that we took in, and they lived with us. So
what about the animals that you, I guess,
draw your attention?
That draw your attention, but also like, what did it give you at that time growing up?
I don't know. I guess a sense of peace, really. Like it was just something I was always fascinated by. I always felt like at ease around the animals. Put it like this, man. I would put animals in front of sports. Like I remember my friend Hassan used to come with me dribbling the basketball. And he's like, you want to play ball? And I would just have a bag of peanuts. I'm like, no, I'm going to feed the squirrels. So I was looking for ass beating.
So it showed that you'd have this compassion and love.
Yeah.
Like,
nurturing.
And very nurturing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like the opposite that you had when you grew up in the hood, in the projects. So it's like you had to be tough.
And so I would see like kids abusing animals. I remember that, I would see kids like, talking about how they threw a cat out the window or shit like that. And I never condoned that. And I actually confronted people who behaved that way.
That's great.
So yeah, but I'm not sure. It wasn't like my mother was into the animals. She allowed me to have them, but yeah, man, I've always liked them, man. So I want a farm, man. I want a farm.
So, well, did you hide that guilty pleasure from your friends and stuff like that? Because I know you also really into like hip hop, Wu Tang, and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
So you was just like, yeah, man, I'll fuck you up and I'll take care of this bird. Like,
nah, nah, man. I always owned that passion, and
mm,
yeah, it was nothing that I ever felt guilty or ashamed
mm.
about, man. Like I always like my first job was working at Petland discounts.
Oh, I was
I
going to ask you,
remember
did you
that.
work at a zoo? Because you
Yeah,
should be a
man.
zookeeper.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was Petland discount. So every week, my mother and I, this is our like rec time. We would take a walk from Baruch Projects, which is on Lower East Side, to
Oh,
14th Street and
Mm,
Union Square to get like little pinkies, little baby mice for my snakes or
mm,
fish.
wow.
And that was what we did every weekend, me and my mom. So that as an adult, I attach having
yeah,
animals to that time with my mom. Even the
yeah,
story about building the rabbit cage. You
yeah.
Yeah.
know,
What did you
so
learn from these animals? Because like
uh,
you're always dealing with them, so I would assume like there's a
Yes.
communication and bond that you have with them, and each of them that you
yeah.
also you're learning from each other. And I feel like dogs and animals, they come with gifts and messages, and we can actually communicate with them. And you be around them, you start feeling something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, every animal is different, right?
Mm,
With dogs, I've had dogs my whole life, so they act right now like the ones who passed away act like timestamps in my life. Like
mm,
they lived 10 to 12 years, and I can think about my first dog ever. He was a Rottweiler,
Mm.
Shamu,
mm,
and he lived to like 13 years old, and we had him in the projects. And let me tell you something, man. When you have a dog like that, like the
Yeah.
respect is given. Like we walked
Yes.
down with Shamu, and it
Definitely.
was like, oh, we don't, yo, what's that, Rockwheeler? No one know how to pronounce the name. What's that, Rockwilder?
Yo, those dogs.
People are ignorant, man. They're scared of
yeah.
death, and rightfully so. He was a big dog, and he
Yo,
could not play.
everybody in the
I was
projects
scared
had
of
like
those.
a dog like that. In my hood, we had a one. His name was Bullet, and so automatically by his name, you're like, I ain't fucking with Bullet. But yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, we had him early on. We bought him from a neighbor who was a cop, and he was allergic to him. So we had Shamu as a puppy,
Mm,
and it was like 1986. So no one had this type of dog, So everyone was like fascinated by it, and maybe I like that about it,
mm,
because when you ask me what is it, maybe I like the fact that this dog acted as a protector and people
right.
loved him, but personally, like he protected the family. Like no one
Mm.
was running up in our crib. Like you go to any other and as a young kid, when I walked down the street, no one fucked with me with that
Mm,
dog. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
maybe there's a little bit of that,
yeah.
but they
I feel
also
like
give you unconditional love. They're
Mm,
so
that's what.
sweet, and they have their own personalities, and
mm. What is it
it's just
about like you talked about the dog. What is it about a snake? That's
Yeah,
something
the
I would
snake.
be
Yeah,
interested about.
how's
Like,
that
what have you
communication?
learned like from a snake? That like for instance, like before we talked when we was recording, I was like, oh, I'm scared of snakes. Don't like snakes because what I saw in the media. But watching your videos and you taking care of them and giving little the bios about them, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
snakes are not that bad. So like,
yeah.
what the snakes what did you learn from like taking care of them?
Well, early on, I just liked the fact that they were strange, that people um were not willing to engage with them. So I think I like that. I like the
Mm,
seriousness about them,
Um,
and I just found them beautiful. And as I did research, I realized these are prehistoric creatures. They've been out here for years, and just everything, their movement, the different color patterns. This the solitude lifestyles. They're very quiet, independent animals. When a snake is born, they're immediately on their own. And I've
mm,
always fasted. There's like no other animal like that besides like lizards. That's very strange.
mm,
Other reptiles are like that, but I found that intriguing. You
yeah.
know. And then I got a book, at the local library, and it had each page had a snake with a little bio, on the snake. And I read that shit like a million times, and I knew everything about each and every snake. So I don't know, man. It was just
Nice.
a certain a thirst for knowledge, want to learn about this mysterious creature.
Mm,
I had to do the research, and I did it. And it was fulfilling, and I don't know. Every snake had their own,
personality.
different habitats.
Okay.
So if you get like a javelin sand boa, they will hide under the sand and just peek their two eyes out. And because they're always under the sand. They have like eyes on top of their head, and they would just ambush predators. So something would come by, and they'll wait for days, and right, and just snatch it up. Then you get some like an Amazon tree boa, which is on the trees 95% of its life. So it has these big eyes and these long teeth, and the teeth are to go through the feathers of its prey. And they got these beautiful emerald, green like patterns to blend in with the leaves, and I'm just fascinated by them.
That's great.
Have you ever gotten hurt by one of your snakes, like by mistake?
I've been fortunate enough. I never got bitten. Knock on wood, but I rescued this. Check this out. My very first day working at Petland, I was overcompensating. I was just like, first of all, let me just give you a little background story. My first day at the job, I was so proud of this job because the manager of Petland saw me week after week for years. He's like, you want a summer job? And I was like, absolutely. And I was like 14, 15. This was during the time in the 90s where all my friends started selling drugs.
Yeah.
Some of them were involved, and this is heavy shit, but some of them got involved with a dude who was pimping them pretty much. Like these are street kids, but there's always like a fucking pedophile who's very manipulative, and they condition you, right?
Yeah.
So if you're into smoking weed and shit, they might say, "Oh, I got weed all day long. You can come and smoke." So I remember my friends going into this apartment and smoking weed, and then one day he brought a prostitute, right? And like, hang out with the prostitute, and then like, it was that. And then he had to watch, and it was like, watch pornos, and then and by the time they knew it, they were involved in this
ring.
Yeah, it was and the kids will recruit, so they would try to recruit me like, yo, Serge, you want a clock for so and so? And I was like, nah, clocking for me is selling drugs. That's like a different sort of clocking. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy.
But it was like, yo, but I got rabbits. And he was like, what kind of rabbit?
I heard you into snakes, though.
Yeah.
So I remember in the midst of all that, like, that was my safe haven. I got this job, and my friends were involved in that's sexual abuse. But there was like, so they didn't look at it that way. They're like, nah, we don't. He doesn't touch us. We just watch a video, beat off, and he gives us $30. And I remember, so all this was going on. Some of them was selling drugs, but I started working at Petland, and I was so proud of the job. Like I remember having like bird shit on my shoulder. Like that was my badge of honor. Like that's came from work. This is what we do. Because if you work in the bird section, you were like the man because birds were to deal with. So I was like,
nice.
But I took my job so serious, I wore non-prescription glasses to bag up goldfish. I used to come home smelling like parakeet shit and cedar chips.
You're like,
He was proud. He was proud.
I was super proud, man.
And it was like, yo, sir, smell this weed. It's like, nigga, smell this shirt, nigga. This is parakeet shit, prime.
This is African gray right here. You don't know about this. Oh yeah, it's showing up like it's cologne. So when you ask a question like that's such a broad thing, right? Like what about? So I guess in every stage of my life, animals have been something I've been more into than all the bullshit. Right?
Well, and it seems like these animals never left your side. They was always there for you. People could have left your life or got you mad or for whatever reason disappointed you, but these animals was always there, and they gave you the love that maybe you didn't have at certain points of your life.
Yeah, who knows, man?
Because who knows where you would have done if you didn't have these animals.
Yeah, it is interesting.
And they guided you too. I mean, even though you had your most rough moments in life, which I want to get into, what made you make those changes and stuff like that. So what was the next passion after that? Like, how did you was it the boxing and then comedy later on?
Yeah, so I would say, all the passions, that I still immerse myself presently. They're all since I was very young. Boxing since I could remember.
Oh, wow.
And I can remember, since I can remember, I had a poster of Sugar Ray Leonard and I believe Hearns, which was the classic fight, and it was like a cartoon picture poster on my wall. And I don't know, maybe I saw my father watching the fights, and I just see his enthusiasm for it. But I've always liked, and this is something about me. You know, snakes are like an animal I like, and they're independent animals. Boxing is an independent sport. I was drawn to that. I like the fact that I don't have to rely on anyone else. It was just all on me, and so I started boxing at the rec center or boys club at the age of 14, 15. And then I was back and forth. I was started and stopped, but I was always into it.
Yeah.
And there was times in my life where boxing gave me such confidence that I felt like it was so much confidence that it was like a shield around me, because in the midst of confrontation or noise or distraction, I was just moving different. I was like, oh, I know what I'm capable of, like,
Right.
you know, discipline wise, not even like tough guy wise, just discipline wise, that I knew I could maneuver out of that. It's a martial art. So when you're given that balance, like, you see things differently. You can almost see things before they happen. It kind of slows everything down. So when I see those benefits, I was really like taken aback. I was like, wow, boxing not only gives me that, but man, you want to talk about having a clear head and being involved in a sport that includes so many different things. You can't get bored. I mean, it's super tiring, but there's so many tools are needed. You hit a heavy bag, you jump rope, you hit a double end bag, you hit a speed bag, you go running, you spar, you hit mitts. It's a lot of fun if you're into that. Like if you're into like, focusing on one thing, and and the results of it are plentiful, man. I mean, you got that clear head, you feel strong, and you're hyper focused.
What did it do for you mentally? I know you said it cleared your head, but what did it do for you mentally? Maybe during those tough times of like, did it help you release? Did it help you understand maybe certain things that was going on in your life? Did it keep you in a straight line to be like, let me keep on? This sport is pushing so much out of me that maybe I didn't know I had, at the time.
Yeah. Well, it did all the above, man. You answered it. It did all the above. I mean, it inevitably, like, you confront your fears, and I'm talking about, not fears like, that, when you're like competing or even sparring, like, you're scared. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? You're nervous, and you got to confront that if it's something you want to. And I confronted it many times over, and it was like, oh, it's not that bad, even though it felt like it was terrible, because, it's a physical, it's a pain sport, right? So that you can get hurt, but it's also, you gotta leave your ego aside, there's humility involved. I learned that, it's not about hurting the other person, but working with the other person at a certain level, even though a lot of boxers can come across as very street and aggressive, I got something different from it. I've got, like, a camaraderie and the respect for anyone who else is doing it.
Right.
And boxing has always been there. When I fell off track a little bit, I will always go back to boxing as like my savior. It wasn't a religion. It wasn't, a therapist. It was always boxing. And there were so many things that boxing included. It was my coach. It was running. It was a jump rope. It was hitting the bag. It was fun. So all those things acted as such a positive distraction that, I mean, I never got bored with it,
And how about the comedy?
Yeah,
well, hold on.
Oh,
because we could transition greatly after the comedy thing, but now you in a position now to start teaching others and training others, where you learn. You're still a student of the game, and you learn so much. But now, and I will attest to this, that you're a great teacher and a coach, even for all levels. Because when I met you, listen, I ain't got no.
That. Thank you.
I was like, yo, I ain't got no rhythm and that stuff. You was like, shut up. We'll work with what you got, and it takes years, bro. One day at a time. So, what made you now want to be this teacher to others and take this sport and and show to others who are interested, like, hey, it helped me, it can help you on many different levels, not only the physical.
Yeah, I never thought that I would be in a position to teach others. And in fact, when I first started doing so, I was kind of pushed to do it. And I welcomed it with open arms. Ironically, I had recently lost my job. I was expecting a kid, and I've been doing stand up for years. And I was at a weird place in my life. And someone said, "Why don't you teach a boxing class or whatever?" And I was able to intertwine my sense of humor with teaching something I'm so passionate about. So it came very easy, and I realized that people's enthusiasm charged me up, and then it took off. Like then I just did it, and people appreciate, I guess, my enthusiasm and energy towards it. So I was sorted out. Like people saw me out,
Yeah.
and I continue to do it, and I absolutely love it because once again, like actual training, I have to be in it to internalize it when I'm teaching it to someone else. I can't say, "Oh, I know, no, this is the way you do it." I continue to train, so when I train someone else, I know exactly what they're feeling, what they're going through. And people are in it for different reasons. Some people are in it for weight loss. Some people are in for it for self empowerment. Some people are in it, as a side sport. Some people play basketball professionally, but they like to box just to do something else.
Mhm.
I've worked with all different types of people.
Did
So
you ever see yourself in students sometimes, like your younger self, back in
yeah,
the day?
absolutely. Yeah, I can see it. When there's a pattern of excuses, that and it could be trying to slow me down by asking me questions that are irrelevant instead of doing the work. I know that shit.
Mhm.
I used to do that. Um, all absolutely, to answer your question, absolutely. I see it all the time. I see it all the
How
time.
about teaching? What has teaching brought you that you didn't, think that you had, or something new?
It's there's always one way to teach something and learn it. And
Hmm.
sometimes and that's fun. So there was a time where I didn't think I was the most patient person, but being in this position, I'm super patient now. Because we all lose. If I lose my patience, then I only have one way of explaining it.
Hmm.
So if someone is unable, for example, uh, to get to use their feet in a certain way, and their hands are up. When you think of boxing, you think of using your hands, right? And those are the tools that make contact. However, your legs transition, create leverage, move you forward. So what I'll do is I'll say, put your hands behind your back, and they'll put their hands behind their back. Now, when you throw certain punches, you have to step or pivot. Now they're forced to do that because, like a blind man, you can hear better, or a deaf man can see better. So I re- reduced them to only working with two limbs. Those are the legs. So hands behind your back. Now you're forced to step with that jab because you weren't stepping with that jab before. So if I keep on saying step with your jab and getting frustrated, now we hit a wall. I say put your hands behind your back. Step with the jab. Now they're like, oh yeah, I'm using my legs now. So figuring those things out because that's the way I was taught. Um, and sometimes that's not the way for somebody else. I realize that there's a different
Yeah.
voice for certain people. People receive, some people want it hard, some people need to be
Yeah.
yelled at, some people need to be soft spoken, but that's not really my demeanor, like yelling. So I really never reduce myself to that. And I shouldn't say reduce because it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not my
It's not
disposition.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not me. So like a coach who's like that, that's not me. I'm more like, no, take the time, breathe, see what's going on, look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many things that allow you to remain focused, and it really is looking at what's going on in front of you. Some
Mhm.
people look down, and because they're shy or embarrassed, and that's a little bit of ego. You gotta be all that shit to the side, not worry about making mistakes. It's all part of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what people like is the spiritual development. It's like, oh shit, if I just kind of leave my ego to the side and know that I don't know it all, or rely on my power, I gotta learn the footwork, I gotta learn the balance and the patience of it. Then you're like, oh shit, I'm starting to learn other stuff that I can apply in other areas of my life. And I think that's what's very special with a martial art.
And now, like, that's perfect because it now leads way now to your next
Oh,
passion that you had. And
Comedy. I'm
yeah,
interested. Yeah.
yeah. Now, I think that probably started when you was young too, right? Because you said a lot of
It
these
all
things
came at the
started
same
when you're
time, right?
young. So when did that hit? And also, when did what happened to you in that moment where you was like, I want to perform, I want to take it to the next
Mhm.
level?
yeah. So with both comedy and boxing, there were things like competing was something that I wanted to do for so long. When it finally happened, it felt like, oh, check it off the bucket list. Like that's something I always wanted to do. And it was something on my mind. And I didn't come up with this quote, but there's like a saying: if you think about something all the time, do it. Just do it. Like there's never gonna be a perfect time. There's gonna be an injury. There's gonna be someone in your family who's taking extracting energy from you. You may feel like you don't have enough money, but it's always gonna be something. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
And you just gotta do it. And with stand up, it was the same way. For a very long time, I always felt like I used stand up, especially growing up as a defense mechanism. I was always funny and I got away with stuff, but it also put me in a position where it kind of highlighted my personality and people were drawn to that. So I like that validation. I like the fact that people laughed and I made people feel good. So I always wanted to do it. I used to go to comedy shows 16, 17 years old. And I would see guys like Angelo Lasada, may he rest in peace. He was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who I had the opportunity to tour with. Rick, you know him.
Yeah, man.
He's from the BX as well.
Love the dude.
He was a great dude. And, so I used to see him on stage. I used to see Patrice O'Neal on stage. I used to see Todd Lynn. And these are guys who I eventually worked with. And I used to see them on stage and tell myself, I could do that. Like I want to do it. And I said that for years before I actually pulled the trigger. It took like 9 years before I actually developed the confidence to
What
do
was
it.
that? What was that last moment for you to build that confidence? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that don't confront their fears and they hold back and they just pull the trigger.
I'll tell you, I get goosebumps because that's like the perfect question. Because during that time I was and you know this because I say it in my stand-up. I was at my apartment and I was doing some I was laying on hardwood floor, right? And I had one piece to go on the hardwood floor. And I was being very negligent. I had a table saw on a brand new floor. It wasn't secure on a table. So it was sliding as I'm cutting the wood, very reckless. And on the last piece, I literally had 6 inches left. It hit a knot in the wood. And the piece popped up and cut my finger and like mangled my finger. So yeah. Now it's like a joke, but at the time it was a big fucking deal to me. Like I lost like half my finger, and I remember the pain that I felt, like both mentally, emotionally, and physically. During that time, I was reading Frida Kahlo's biography, and while I was recovering, I was reading the part where she had a trolley accident, and then how she, had this creative awakening. She always wants to be an artist, and that's what she did. She painted for an entire year. You guys know the story. I can see the way you're nodding. So it was it just all made sense, and I was like so into her as an artist, and I was like, man, this is a beautiful, strong motherfucker. Like, look what she did compared to and we shouldn't compare tragedies, but like my shit is
showing you.
Yes, it was definitely a symbol.
It was a message sign. She was showing you.
Yeah. So soon after the recovery, I did stand up, and I was super hyper focused on that. And
how was the first time that you did it? Now, like when you was on that stage and you finally pulled the trigger, like what was that moment for you?
Oh man, it was one of the best moments of my life. It went well. I had friends and family. I was super nervous. It was a big show. It was what they call a bringer show. Yeah. You bring all your friends and family. I had 15, 20 people in a packed house, 300. And it was a 5-minute set, and it was amazing. Yeah. And then, the second show was okay. Yeah. And the third show, I experienced my first bomb ever. It got real quick. It got real. I hated that. Because I was cocky, that third show. I remember I went, and I was drinking a beer already, in the green room. I think I smoked a cigarette in the green room. Who the fuck do I think I was doing bullshit like that.
Yeah. So it's so funny because, it's funny that you said that because I have a similar story of doing great in the beginning and then quickly. I remember it was at the Laugh Factory. I was about to do a show. I think you probably was down there, but I was upstairs.
Laugh Lounge.
Yeah, Laugh Lounge. Yeah, Laugh Lounge. And Greer Barnes was upstairs. And he was just like, oh, you a comedian? I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, welcome to the struggle, motherfucker. I was like, and I was just like, what? And literally, a couple reps in after that, I wasn't having good shows. It was I was trying to find my way. We still learning and growing, but I saw the other side. I saw that you got to keep on, improving and working. And some days are good, some days are not. But
Yeah.
it was great that you shared it because it reminded me of that moment that I had too.
Yo, and no one's exempt, and you got to be respectful of it, and you got to keep on working it. And and I'm in a place in my life where I still do stand up, but I do it at a level where I have friends who are successful, and they take me on the road with them. I'm not really on the grind anymore, and sometimes I feel like I need to still go to the gym and work out before the fight or whatever. That sounds corny and shit. But you definitely got to do that.
No, it's true.
You lose your footing, you lose your timing, and you lose the nuances, very important words, and being able to slow it down to make things funny, because that's stand up, man.
How do you stay motivated? Because when I look at you, I look at someone that's a well-seasoned stand-up. No matter, like, you've been doing it for years, but you have the knowledge and wisdom, and you always stay open to learn and grow. Like, how do you stay motivated? Because comedy will take you to many different levels and layers of your life. And even though you will love it, but you, just like anything, you have rejection, you have opportunities that are not there that you wish you had. So how do you stay motivated to keep on putting through and performing at a place of love?
That's a very good question, because it wavers. It wavers a lot, because I don't I no longer am interested. I guess there's a crossroads. Like, I'm no longer interested in doing certain shows, and sometimes I question my motivation or love for it. But when I do, like, when I'm hanging out with friends and I'm on the road with them, that shit is super inspiring and motivating, and I want to do it then. And I feel like I've earned that. And I had to tell myself, you earned that. You've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
If your boys are fucking killing it and they trust you to crack open the show or do whatever, that's your position. Love that. And love that and own that. But sometimes I guess I feel a little guilty, like, damn, I should be on the grind a little more. I should, but I'm not motivated to do certain shows. I'll give you an example.
No, I get you. I totally understand what you're saying, and it's not coming from an ego and pride place.
No,
like,
it's not.
It's like you
just
reach the level of like
yeah.
what you want to do at that level of your life. There's no shade to anyone. It's like, this is where I'm
but
at.
I also have to check myself in the sense that if I'm not gonna do that, I gotta continue writing.
Exactly.
If I'm not gonna do that, I gotta continue listening to my set, and I got and I waver because I'm into so many other different things. So it's not. There's guys out there, and who I'm very fascinated by, and they don't have other things going on. Stand up is what they got, and they're really good at it because of that. So like there's it's a balance, right, for me. But for some people, I see like their work ethic, and I'm like, oh, it shows. There's no doubt about it, Right. And sometimes I'm a little bit like, damn, I put a little more time, but you only have so much time in a day, right?
Right. But also,
what do you want for you? Because you might, they're doing that, but that's probably what they want to do. That's all they live for.
Right.
But you have other things, you know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that you don't have a good work ethic. It just you're in a different place, and what's good for you is what you like for yourself. And like you said, you might want to
I'm hard on myself that way. It's like I'm like, I need a new fucking joke.
But that's when we hard on ourselves as artists, because that's when we're like, oh, what have we done? But look back at what you have done.
Right. You're right.
I was just literally talking to her the other day about this, and you.
I'm sorry, what was that? I missed that last part.
No, I was talking to Cloud yesterday about this, and where is touched right where you at. Like, you are at a level where you have so many things around you that you earned and flourished. You're a father. You have a wife. You love animals. You have this thing that you're doing. You have you have the zoo behind you. You have your podcast. You are comedy. You have the boxing. So your life is full of many wonders and journeys that you have that you're juggling with, that each one was earned and it had its time. So now you're juggling all this stuff. Rather, other people may have a couple of those things, but that's all they're focusing and growing on. And I remember,
you're right. And a lot of this stuff correlates. A lot of these things connect and intertwined. I think there's a reason why there's besides me being interested in doing it, but like training people, the fact that I could make it interesting and fun, like they getting stand up there too. I do a virtual class. A lot of people didn't do that shit, but I was able to use that shit like a stage. Like I would have jokes, and it's all training really, because I could do that, but I might be a little unsure. But I've been doing it for so long that I can incorporate those different worlds into one, So that's helpful, But like as far as like stand up, we're in an interesting place stand up wise because you could just do your own thing. It's a beautiful time for it. But like I was not willing to do I did a Zoom show, but I was not interested in doing it. And I felt guilty. Like that was I asked my wife, I was like, should I feel guilty? She said, no, if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. But she did encourage me. She said, if the outdoor shows, give it a try, because you haven't done it in a while. It could be a little bit like, I haven't done it in a long time. But she's like, I would give it a try. But I didn't want to do that either. And I was questioning, because it's 4 months we haven't been doing stand-up. And dogs, when I tell you the calendar was loaded, I was booked every weekend from March to October across the country. And all that shit's been from everybody. No, I'm not, not all of us. But and then when people are like, hey, you want to do a Zoom show? I'm like, hell fucking no. And my experience on the Zoom show
I just feel like Zoom is its own platform, and I'm not for like virtual performance. That's just me. I'm not for it. It's its own platform for it. But I just feel stand up or theater should be on the stage. It should be experienced that way, not through virtual.
I agree. Yeah. I did a Zoom show, and it was actually fine. And I learned quickly because I was the last one up. I'm saying going up.
You closed it? You closed the Zoom show? You the headliner?
Yo, let me tell you, every comic was like, oh my God, this is weird. And but if you're the fourth comic on that show, realize that shit doesn't do anything for you. Like, oh, this is weird. And it's like a dude, you can see the pop-up shit. One dude is playing solitaire. Yo, people are disrespectful. Yo, one dude was petting his cat, rocking in the chair. And I was like, and I still had enough fun, where I didn't feel bad, but I didn't want to do that shit again. Like, I had a decent enough. I was like,
now you're booked with Zoom shows all the way till October, right?
Most recently, a diner show, and I said yes to it. And it's like, you're on back of a pickup truck, and it's a drive-through. Yeah.
Oh.
That one could be a little better because it's actually human people.
Yeah.
Could be
but you know how they give you laughs? Because they're in their cars. And the mic is feeding into they put their blinkers on. Come on. Imagine I get off stage.
I would be yelling. That's weird.
You got that light break. Yeah. You got that good, instead of an applause break, you got that light break.
Oh man. Or they just doing the pressing the horn. Beep, beep, beep. Like that was fun.
Yeah. Well, they were doing that, but then they got in trouble because the neighbors were getting mad. And so these are different options.
Weird
right?
times. Weird times.
Yeah, it's weird, right? And then you got the people who are doing comedy in the park. There's no mic. It's and and the thing is that, and once again, so I always try to really ask myself, you don't want to do it because it's ego. Like these are real questions I ask myself. Right. Is ego, do I feel like part of me does feel like I'm better than that, but there's guys who are better at stand-up than me who are doing it. And I'm like, oh, okay. They're doing it just to say the new shit out loud, I guess. In front of anyone.
Yeah, it's good it's good practice.
But the idea of the sun still being out by a hedge, a green hedge,
Well, we're going back to the centuries where they did outside theater.
We're gonna dress up in those jesters outfits.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
It's very perform-ish.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like some people have the gusto for that. As I mature, I get a little older, a couple of grays in me. I'm a little too proud. I don't want to be in the park next to the hedge. Like someone may see me that I know, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, isn't that the trainer? Isn't that your trainer?" It might come across that way. So that's ego, I guess, worrying about shit like that.
But I think that's great though that you, even as an artist and human being, that you ask yourself like, where is this coming from? Is it coming from a place of ego? Is it a place of like, I just don't want to do it? It's coming from a good place of my heart. I just don't want to do it. I feel like this is how I was been doing it, and I want to keep respecting that. You know, I'd rather wait till things get better than I go back to it.
Yeah, and like, you know, and listen, and doing something like this, that's why when you gave me a time, this is something I'm in tune with that I want to do. Like vibe with some good people. Yeah. I know it's gonna be fun. Like I'd rather do that. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather do the podcast. I'd rather. This feels good. It feels like a connection.
Yeah. It is. It's true. It is.
As far as motivation, like I have listened to, and I wasn't doing this a lot when I was like pre-pandemic. You know, listening to other specials. You know, just watching a comedy special. I watched T.K. Kirkland. You ever heard of him?
I heard the name. I think was it on Netflix or something?
It was on Amazon Prime. He's an old school.
Oh, okay, yes. I didn't see it though, but I know you're talking about.
Nah, he's a throwback. He's like 54 years old, but he looks like he's 35.
Yeah.
And he's you know, he comes from like what they will call the Chitlin circuit. You know, he's an underground king. Like he's a black comic. He's a throwback. He's dirty, but he's fucking hilarious. And I forgot. Dog, I forgot. So this is what happens, right? With stand-up, you start watching comedies. Your friends are a certain type of comedy that you forget what I fell in love with that sort of comedy, like gritty, you know, grimy, like dark comedy. And he embodies that, and it was refreshing to hear because I haven't heard him so long. Because a lot of the comics I watch now are very polished. You know, there's a lot of white comics who are friends of mine and I love their stand-up, but it's different.
Yeah.
But to listen to this special, it was almost like watching Martin back in the day.
That's great. I gotta watch that.
You know, so it was like I haven't heard some shit like that in a while. So when I heard it, I was like, "Yo, this guy's hilarious," and I was like laughing from here. Like,
wow,
it was like hanging out with your boy.
I'm watching now.
You know who I love to watch, and I don't watch. I still keep my ears to see what's out there. I just come from a deep place of like. If you're on that stage, I'm like, you got to be saying something. And I want to hear something like, get deep. There got to be some substance. I don't mind the dick jokes. You can laugh at. I love dick jokes. But like, you know, give me some feelings and like some heart into it as well. Like, that's where I'm at. So, but a person that I like to watch even live is Sinbad. And like every time he came to the city, that's someone that I will watch laugh, and enjoy. Yes. He is... To me, he's one of the GOATs, bro, and he doesn't get his flowers. No. And I'm like, I will go up to him, I'll talk to him, and I'm like, dude, thank you, because what you did every time I watch is inspiring. It's a new hour every time you will go up.
Yo, he is such a fucking beast. I mean, when you said Sinbad, I literally just said to him, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. And Sid Alexander's enthusiasm, like yes, I was like, yeah, we're all in the same frame right there because he is so funny and just so articulate and just so good at stand-up. Yeah. Like he's a storyteller, but there's punches in there. I mean, he might be one of the best to ever do it.
He's one of my favorites, bro. Like, of course, like with Eddie Murphy, but as I got older, you know, and I went back to watch certain things, I'm like, oh man, I used to love Sinbad. And now as I got older, I was like, let me watch him again. And then watch him in person. I was like, this guy, he's got to be watched.
I hate to get competitive like this, but the thing is, man, Sinbad is way better than Eddie Murphy. He's just got too much content.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay. I think because you say too much. Yeah. You're right. You're right. I give you that. You know why? You know why that was tough for me to say that? Because Eddie Murphy was the person that when I saw, I was like, I want to do that. But once I take that away, and I look at the facts and the numbers, it's Sinbad. Because I saw Sinbad 4 times live, and all the 4 times brand new, off the cuff. You know, he probably put some things in there that he juggled, but new material. I can't say that. Oh, I heard this from the last.
New material, relevant and funny.
Real.
Yes.
Family stuff,
and also getting everyone connected, involved in
connect with the audience.
Yes, that you in with it. No matter. Look, I'm 32. He was talking about older shit stuff, but it was still funny. It was relevant for everyone. I mean, the jokes was timeless.
Yeah, he's an amazing talent. And the thing is, I feel the same way about Eddie, right?
Yeah.
But Eddie, for us, we were kids and we saw him in that red leather, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit. And the ice cream, but you know, that was it. That's all he did. And that's not all he did, but that's what he did stand-up for. He did movies. but everyone's like excited for Eddie's return. Your
dog. I just want I'm not that I'm excited. I'm glad that he's going back into it. I just wouldn't rush to like present something so fast. Like do the work. He's
gonna supposedly go. Well, I don't know.
And I'm not expecting the suit. I know there's a new voice, there's a new thing, and I just feel like he has a different voice right now.
Yeah. Listen. More serious. I just think isn't it take so fucking long? I mean, listen, we got time, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
gonna take him like 4 years. Realistically, he's gotta be in the circuit for 4 years.
Wow.
You
work
speak
that shit out.
You speak
because
facts.
It's gotta be like something like we're like, wow.
You speak facts because I can relate because when Dave Chappelle started coming out and I saw him at we saw 30 Rock. Is the Rock? What's the Rockefeller over around there? Whatever. It's Radio City. That's what it was.
Radio City.
I saw him at Radio City.
Yeah.
But he started like this is when he came out, and I guess he was doing it in the circuit, and then he came out to the theaters, right? I saw the difference from when I saw him at Radio City, and then 4 years later, how he was getting involved and back to where he was at. I felt, but even better with a new voice. So you do speak truth to that because I remember when I first saw him, so excited, I didn't laugh that much. Even though it felt like he was trying to get comfortable now with this new voice, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that
because he knows the practice.
Yes,
yeah.
And but as the years went by, and as more consistent that he was performing, I saw the strength. And you're right that with Eddie Murphy, he has to go through the ropes, go through these rounds, and train for years. Mm-hmm. And I think he'll get to that epitome where he was once at, but now with this voice that he's in now.
And whether or not we don't know if he is it like people asking him to do it. That is that the reason, or does he really want to do it? Right. If he really wants to do it, then he has a good shot. But if he feels like pressure to do it because Netflix went in his ear and they said we're gonna give you $100 million, because that can motivate some people. Then you can put out some crap.
Yeah, and I like that movie he came out with though. The one with the recently on Netflix. Oh my God, with the based on the movie that he came out with on Netflix. Oh my God, based on that guy Dolomite. There you go. Dolomite.
My God, that was excellent.
I loved it. Like I was like, woo, he killed it. I don't think
that was inspiring.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, he's getting his foot now back into the movie stuff.
That's a good point, man. I mean, because you kind of throwing yourself into that character. It's kind of like replicating what he might be doing. But the thing is, like, and I'm not going to judge him on this one thing, but I did see him, and it was just a snippet of him with Seinfeld. What's that? Comedy and
Comedians
and he looked uncomfortable there. I saw it. Like he was trying to do an impersonation, and he was rushing, and he did it was a little hacky. Like he was doing something like he did years ago. I was like, he's not really comfortable doing this shit. And it's so funny because Eddie's like the best. And like he doesn't have to improve. But I felt like in front of Seinfeld, he felt like, I gotta say something funny, and I could see it being pushed. You know?
It's
odd.
But it shows. It's like with anybody. You just gotta go through the training.
You just gotta build
everybody sees Eddie Murphy. Oh my God, Eddie Murphy. If he stops and he goes back, no, he has to do the training too.
Yeah, you got to build up his you got to build up his confidence again. Yeah. Like this is a whole decades and a whole era went by him, and like he's been home chilling and stuff like that. He did everything that he had to do, movies and stuff, but like he has to build up that confidence that he once had. You know, and then also like he look at everybody else like, oh, you guys been doing it. And he's always gonna be a fan of comedy, but now is the difference when you have to go up on that stage, and he knows it too. Like he always said that from things that I read and saw, he's like, I want to do it, but I don't want to do the work because there's so much work that goes into this.
Yeah. I mean, and like, so does he stop doing movies during that time? Because I just feel like you got to be out there every night. And is it when the clubs open back up? What do? They do like Chappelle. They pull all the phones. Mm-hmm. Like he's gonna be they're gonna have to
like no one's gonna know that he's there. You know what I mean?
He's just gonna have to pop. He's just gonna have to do like popping guest spots throughout the city.
Yeah,
like that.
And that's gonna be crazy difficult because people are gonna be in the beginning. People are gonna just get up and they're not gonna let him do his thing.
Yeah, and they're gonna laugh at any little thing. But it's so funny because we're at a time too. Like they'll laugh at any little thing. But they'll be quick to be like, he's not the same. Whack. I feel like back in the days, we would have gave him some time. It's like, he's out. But now it's like 10 minutes in. You're like, whack. And they put it on Twitter. Yo, he bombing. It's just it's
weird.
Brutal,
right?
Yeah.
It's brutal. I mean, it's interesting how irresponsible, because social media is relatively new, if you think, and how irresponsible some of us are with it, right? Some of us are real dirtbags with social media. It's like it's scary, Like, people are so mean.
It was a thing that we saw the other day where they were saying that like, I mentioned that like, I remember like celebrities, and at that time before social media, they was dealing with things like, I hope this video don't get leaked. Hope people don't be talking bad about me in my movies, blah blah blah. Like, this anxiety of being a celebrity was only for them. And now all of a sudden, when social media came out, and they were saying a lot of more people depressed and stuff like that. Well, it's like where we all had this inner celebrity that we wanted, but now we're having those type of problems. Right? Because now things can be leaked. People are talking shit about you. People are telling, you wearing that shirt gay. Like, they're just dogging you. Like, those celebrities only dealt with that. Now everyone, in a sense, can be a celebrity in their own right, whether you have 100 or 200 followers or 1 million. But now you're feeling those same anxieties and things what a celebrity used to just only face. And now it's crazy because like now, it's like we worship them. Like, I wish I had all the money, fame. But now we're gonna not give you the money, fame. We're just gonna give you a platform, and along with all the negative shit that can go along with it that these people face. And now everyone is dealing with this shit.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted a social media break?
Oh yeah.
That shit feels amazing.
Yeah. That's why now I'm just like, whatever, because of that break. Yeah. When you do that break, you're not like
you need it, bro.
You kind of develop like a you don't get irritated by it as much. No. You're like, okay, that's not, when I'm distance myself from that, I feel better. So I'm gonna keep that close to me. How good that feels.
No, it's weird that we live in this timeline. Because like, if you tell your mom that, or my mom that, Mom, you ever need a social media break? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? A break for me was like, get the fuck out of the house, go play basketball. I need my moment. You know what I'm saying? But it's weird that us now that we need that. Yo, I need a social media break, bro. Go hit me up.
Like, it sounds so pretentious,
but it's funny because my parents are in their late 70s and they're like on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm like, why? Why do you have this? But they're like on it.
But
but you see them on their phones, like.
But if family members start talking shit, they start feeling the anxiety. Like, why did Tita like block me? Why this person didn't say hello when I said hello? I send them a heart. Like, your parents can be adapting to this anxiety that we had. Like, I only had 2 likes. Why is that, Ricky? You know what I'm saying?
It's so weird when a parent goes on, right? Because they always come on and they have no profile picture, right? It's just a fucking silhouette of like,
all their profile pictures like buy a plant. It's buy a plant.
They have like their social etiquette is mad whack.
Yeah. Or like, you could be posting like shit like, oh man, just got fired from my job, and they'll put like hearts. I'm like, this is the wrong time for a heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So funny.
They're like, Dios te bendiga, and stuff like. It was like, Mom, come on, like, I'm sick right now, like, leave me alone. But
it's pretty funny, man.
How okay? So moving down, like, you were maneuvering in this new world, and you come from a time where like things was very different, and now you have a daughter. How did that change you in the sense of like fatherhood? Like, now like you're dealing in this new generation of social media, and now you have a daughter, and she has different things that you didn't have to like deal with when you was younger. Like, how is that now being a father and like being more involved and seeing the world changing around you?
I gotta tell you, man, I slice up my life, and it's like it's been quarterly. Like, I'm gonna be 41 next month, and the greatest contrast that I've always been loving, I've always been caring, I've always loved family or whatever. But there was a period in time when I wasn't taking good care of myself. I was drinking and partying way too much, and that time was so dark, and it felt so dormant, and I just got it really worried me whether or not I was gonna be able to come out of that. That anything removed from that is it's easy, like. So when I'm asked a question, how has it been? It's like, I'm so involved and present and wide-eyed about it that nothing feels like, oh my God, what a radical change.
Yeah.
You know, because I have experienced a contrast of low esteem that was so low, that was robbed from me, confidence, what, in a time when I was still partaking in boxing, stand-up, and a family that loves me. So that's scary, right? When you choose to behave or indulge in certain bad habits, when you have all these great things in your life. And I was like, why can't I put my shit together? And why do I keep on going through this vicious cycle? And I
what made you get out?
Again, what was that?
What made you get out of that vicious cycle?
My daughter. You know, that was like, it wasn't me. Like I couldn't get the momentum or the rhythm or the confidence to do it on my own. As soon as I had her, that was like the push, man. Like it was, it was. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, and you know, there was times that I was even willing to accept that other person. There was times I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a stand-up comic who behaves that way. Like I had this picture in my head. I was like, oh yeah, it's accepted in this world. I'm gonna be that. You know, I'm gonna be an extension of that, like gritty, party hard. You know, and I remember creating this in my head, and then it went. It went from all different states of mind where I try to trick myself into thinking, oh, I'll only party or use once a week. That never worked, right? Because it takes like 4 days to recover, right? That's once a month. Oh, I'll do it once a month. That's ridiculous. I said, oh, I'll party 12 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to rationalize this shit, right? So all this stuff I talk about, and it's been years, but it's still like I talk about it with the same as if it was just yesterday, because I had because that has such a profound effect on how I perceive the world now. Because everything has been slowed down, and the colors are brighter, and things are just so much more pleasant and manageable. So when I'm asking a question, how is it dealing with it's just what it is, and so everything is completely manageable, and a bad day is just a bad day, a weird interaction with somebody is just a weird interaction. Nothing is harbored, and I really can't move on from a lot of different things, and I think that's training from all the things I'm involved in, but also a deep appreciation for fucking life. You know, and like love, like seriously, it sounds a little corny, but it's like,
it's not,
man, like it's a beautiful thing, man, to get it back like that with enthusiasm, like holy shit, because it was to a place where it was like people didn't even see it, and that's a weird thing, because it's one thing if like you're behaving a certain way, and people are like, yo, you need help, like, here, come with me. No one knew but me. Like,
you know what's so funny? I'm gonna share this with you. I felt it with you. This was years ago. You probably don't even remember this because I felt like you was in another world. I came from Buffalo when I was in college, and I had this opportunity to be a writer for Comedy Central. But I like at that time I didn't get it, but I was one of the persons that could be. It was like an internship. So long story short, I came down to the city because I had to write this paper and I'm gonna apply. And we went to see you, Angelo Losado, and Giannis Papas. You guys were doing something over there. We saw it, blah, blah, blah. My boys laughed. We loved it. After the show, you're like outside just chilling. I go up to you. You probably was high and stuff like that, but you was just like in another world, right? I just felt this energy, and it was a dark energy inside. And I was like, just thanking you, like, yo, Serge, man, you was funny. He was, oh, yeah, thanks. And I was like, I just want to thank you. I got this opportunity, blah, 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 man. But hey, I want to celebrate this with you because you're one of the reasons why I got this, because you pushed me to be like, yo, do comedy, blah, blah. So I gave you like your flowers, and I'm always this humble, appreciative dude. And you gave me a thank you and stuff like that. And then it kind of like you just faded away and like you just looked somewhere else. And I was, but this wasn't like, and this was like probably like 4 years when I met you before I met. So it was like I met you.
That timeline sounds about right.
Yeah, so like I met you, and like you was this jittery person, it was cool. And then when I met you again, it was like a lot of dark clouds around you. And I was like, I just remember leaving. It was like bittersweet. Like at least I thanked him, but I was like, man, I hope whatever he's going through, like he'll pull through. Like I just remember thinking that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when you said that, I was like, oh, it clicked, automatically clicked. I was like, so that's what I was feeling.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely was, and it's weird because I vaguely remember seeing you after a show, but imagine like how many other interactions with people, how many missed opportunities, whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's energy, right? It's an exchange
yeah,
of energy, right? It's like not looking in the eyes. It's
yeah,
like being glossed over and just being
Mm-hmm.
more involved with that quick fix throughout the night or what's
yeah,
next,
yeah,
and people, sometimes, I mean, we see it all the time. Their whole lives are like that. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh,
I could feel like the appreciative and so thankful and humbleness that you like you made it out. That like
Yeah.
you
yeah,
that you have these eyes and this vision and this clarity. And of course, yeah, you have challenges, but like you said, it's manageable. It's
yeah,
nowhere how I once was, where I don't want to be again.
yeah,
And like you
yeah,
said, there's people that live in that cycle and it just can't
yeah,
get out. And I have compassion for them, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that you found a way and your daughter gave you this gift to like
yeah,
just pull
yeah.
through.
And to anyone who may be listening, it's kind of so. Alexander, you asked a good question. How did I? And I say my daughter. So my advice to anyone is like, have a kid. It makes everything
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, go raw, bust a nut.
What you want to do is just have a kid. It makes everything better.
Yeah.
No, what it is, there were steps to it. There was
Of course.
there was programs and everyone and everything has a different lane. Some people need to have to be held accountable. One person, like a sponsor or something. For me, it was like I just needed to separate myself from that. And when I had to always have boxing in my life. So throughout all that shit, I'm still boxing. I'm still doing stand. It's not like I completely neglected it. I did everything that I was doing half-ass, but I still did it, right?
Yeah.
I never, pawned anything. I still had money, but that was the weird thing about it because I felt like I was getting away with it. But on a very specific level, it was programs, and it's crazy because I witnessed how you're perceived because I had to do that shit alone. I didn't ask anybody. I had to look for these programs alone, like, and then I show up to a meeting and or go one time. And that shit lasted like 2 years. That shit took a long time to get the fucking wheels moving.
Yeah.
So when people like are going through those struggles, I was like, it's real because and then when I finally got it, I felt like I was I'm careful with not using the word depressed because that's a strong. I don't know if I ever experienced depression.
Yeah,
Maybe the dopamine were a little off and everything, but depression is a different thing where people is uncontrolled. I knew the reason why I felt like this.
Yeah, your thing was self-sabotaging.
But I depleted myself of the dopamines and I was going to something for this adrenaline. But I'm careful with I'll be using the words, I was depressed because I don't know if I know what that feels like. When someone's it's just sad because it's and they I'm very respectful towards that, right? So I don't want to say I was depressed because I didn't take any medication to get me out of depression. I just stopped doing that, but it took time, like to feel normal again.
Yeah.
So I never stopped doing shows. I remember going to shows and feeling like a robot, and that shit and we're talking about good shows. I'm not talking about like Laugh Lounge on Tuesday. It's like 6 people. I'm talking about sold out shows where my boy Yanis was doing his barista character, and like people are there, and those are the shows. That's probably where you met.
Yeah,
me
that's where. Yeah,
and I want
exactly where it's at.
Set. Yeah, I want a 10-minute set, and the concoction. I knew the concoction to get me to where I needed to be, and kill on stage. It was certain, but it was only 10 or 15 minutes. Not sustainable. But once I pulled that to the side, I felt mad rigid on stage. I felt like, yes, I'm from the Lower East Side, and I just felt like I wasn't killing. I felt like I didn't want to go and talk to the people after the show. Like I was mad tight, and I had to deal with that shit. And I just realized that I was like, maybe this is what it's gonna be. Like I'm just not gonna be that same performer. I really questioned that because I did not feel funny. I did not feel like in tune. It didn't feel like a click. And I felt like I was looking at myself like that, like you're whack, like your stand-up is whack. And I felt like a mad bitch, and all I wanted to do was stay sober. That was the primary thing. And eventually, my true self came back, but everything changed a little bit. The delivery, how I interacted with people, it changed. I felt like I was just a lot more respectful to myself and others, and I was never like outright disrespectful, but I definitely felt like I was more a
It wasn't present
person. Yeah. But that shit took time. I remember that shit took it felt like a long year before I felt like myself again. That's a long time. And I'm not coming from a place where I was like using every day. So if there's an addict out there who's using everyday hard drugs, I mean, it requires so much work, not just from themselves, but for the community to like help them instead of being demonized and like thrown in jail. I can't imagine being in that situation and thrown in jail.
Oh,
like that's crazy. Like that's nuts to me. Especially if you're not like committing, like a crime. The crime is towards yourself, but and that's the way a lot of that shit is handled, which is wild.
Yeah.
Before we go to this segment that we have, I want to ask you something about your friend, also your comedy partner, Angelo Lozado. I want to know just something quickly. What was the advice that's something that he taught you, being around him? What was something that he shared with you that was like, a lesson that even to this day it come up?
Angelo was before I answer that, like he was a very giving, generous person, and he like floated in the room. And one thing that is not even, I'm not the first person to say this, but he never felt like, he always felt like you were the only one in the room. Like he always like made you feel comfortable, and especially in this industry that we're in, like entertainment and shit. There's a lot of people who one day they say hello to you, the next day. I see them, the way people behave is disgusting. Super consumed with themselves. And he treated everyone equal. He rooted for everybody. He was funny as hell. And he was just a phenomenal person. So upon losing him, me and Giannis often talk, and we're like, damn, man, that dude was really special because he was he cared for people, like on a genuine level, and he listened to comedy. It wasn't like, he listened to it. Like he would sit in the back room, and if a guy could be like 4 years in, and he like just appreciated the craftsmanship. So that you don't see that a lot. You got veteran comics who are mad and aloof, So he was very caring and generous. But I would say one thing, like advice-wise, he would just say, keep on doing your thing, Pop. Like, don't ever stop doing it. That was his thing. Like, he's like, you got to keep on doing your thing, Pop. It all falls into place. That was consistent with his attitude. And he did that. He did comedy for like 25 years, and he popped or started to get recognition much later. And never did I ever get the feeling that this guy was bitter. And he could have easily been that dude. Yeah. He was doing shows that I was doing with no fucking attitude. He was like, we here, Pop. How you feeling? He was just, he was doing comedy 20 years. And his friends were guys like Tracy Morgan. Like, he could have easily went that route, but he didn't.
Yeah, he could have been bitter.
And you see it all the time. And when people are bitter, that's a losing battle. You lost, right? Yeah. When you're bitter, like, what fucking mad at, right? Yeah. Like, you're not appreciative. He was never bitter.
Yeah, I mean, from the times that I met him, like we had small interactions, and I just felt his energy. He was a good dude, and he was very gracious and humble, and and even when I saw him, like when traveling with Trevor Noah, even when I will see him again. With my small interactions, I wasn't in the room with him all the time talking. I wish I have, but all I can say was just good things about this dude. I didn't feel small next to him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was a human being in his eyes, and that's how. Yeah. And I feel like it's a human thing that we have lost, especially nowadays. Well, like this human thing of having compassion and being humbled and treating others with respect. Especially it goes a long way, especially in the industry that we're in. When you see traitors, backstabbers, negative people, you're around that all. You could be around all the time, but then like you want to separate yourself from that,
right?
And
right,
surround yourself around people like yourself and like Angelo and stuff like that.
Yeah, but on the flip side, like he would fucking he would let me have it. Like he would treat me like a little brother and like make fun of me like crazy. And we all did that to each other. So and no one was exempt, but he did it in such a playful manner.
Yeah.
You know, like it was so refreshing. Like I never felt like, oh, this dude, never, you know. And you know, it affected me, man. Like losing him, I don't remember crying like that in a long time, but it felt good because it's like, you know, it felt like a good release. But man, that dude was the man. You know, he was dying when we were on our last tour together, and he was still such a beautiful spirit. He wasn't complaining about he wasn't complaining about dying of cancer, and we were in Miami heat. Wow. We were like walking in the sun. He had a hoodie on because he had chills, and we were still cracking jokes. I'm like, look at you with your Pumas, you know, like why are you wearing them with the shoelaces outside? They look like flip flops, and you know. And then, you know, Yanis is asking questions. Yo, it's nice out here, but it's too hot. What's your favorite weather? What's your favorite season? I'm like, why are you asking baby questions? You know what I'm saying? Like, and Angelo was, you know, laughing. Yo, we were having such a good time going, like, in the airport. He's sick that we missed our flight because we're being silly like kids. Yeah. You know, like, stupid shit.
That's great.
You know? Like
no, I think that's beautiful, man. It just always reminds you to always play with your inner child. Mm-hmm. You need that no matter what age you get. You always gotta have fun because life is already serious. You gotta find ways to let loose and have fun, man. And even when like in the state that he was in, yes,
you had
it's tough,
but you know what?
It's challenging, but you gotta find a way to laugh and make it through the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't and that's so inspiring because like you could quickly, once again, he has another opportunity to be that person that he probably saw in other people, be bitter, be negative. Yeah. But that just wasn't in him. Yes, of course, he probably had moments where he was like, damn, this sucks. But, of course, he just kept pushing through and finding the humor and the laughter.
Yeah. And we've been in some very trying situations. I want to share the story. One time, we were just leaving our first run in Miami, and we were in a... it's like we probably hung out hard the weekend. So we're like hung over or whatever. And it was our first run with Marisa. And they're like club shows. Like we had 7 shows that weekend, one weekend. It was like 2011. And all the shows were sold out. I felt like I was part of a band, bro. And like a fucking successful band. Like, nice. You know, and everyone had their position. Like Marisa, like the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, they all came out of Miami. All the shows, a 700-seater sold out. Great time. We get on the plane, and there's like a crew of like 50. I'm not lying, by the way. You know when people get jumped, they're like, I got jumped by 50 dudes. There was like 50 dudes together on a plane. And they just all so happened to be gay. Like gay and aggressive gays. They were like, they look straight. You know what I'm saying? Like I had no idea.
Homo thugs.
They had bandanas, that's what they would call them, right? And like bandanas to the side, and one of them was in my seat. So I was like, oh, I think that's my seat. And he's like, I ain't moving nowhere, no way. And then he started twerking. No, he said, I'm not moving nowhere, no way. And then he was twerking.
That shit was rehearsed. They planned that shit. Yo, if they ask you, you're gonna say this.
Yeah, and his crew, and like they were scattered throughout the plane.
Yo,
and they were like, yeah, he ain't moving no way. And I was like, and Angelo was like, you know, it's early, right? So Angelo, he got the thick ass glasses. Angelo's like, he got these thick ass glasses. He's like, Bob, what's the problem? I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't want to get up. That's my seat. And he's like, time to get up. Then show him the ticket. And I said, I did. He doesn't want to move. So he's like, let me get the ticket. So he goes, excuse me, Bob. That's like, he's like, I told you, I'm not moving. And you have to get my face that foolishness. I'm not moving, whatever. So we had to tell on this dude. We had to like tell a student. Yeah, we had to tell a flight attendant. And the flight attendant is visibly scared. She's like this young, this was shriveled old white woman. And she's like, sir, Mr. Deshaun Rook, you have to move your seat. And he's like, oh, man, where's my bag? Where's my popcorn? And he's moving. He's like pushing people. And Angelo tells him, while he's getting up, he's like, And yeah, I wasn't trying to start trouble. I knew that was my friend C. So he's like, I don't want to hear nothing from you. You and your glasses. And when I looked at Angelo, his glasses looked mad big. Yo, the dude was ruthless. The dude sat in front of us.
Damn.
You and your glasses. He talked about Angelo like his glasses were separate. Like
Yeah, what did Angelo?
Dude's a problem, man.
What did Angelo say after that?
Angelo looked at me like this. Yeah, I never seen Angelo mad, and that was the time I was like, he was like,
oh my god!
And like Angelo, then like, then he takes off his glasses, and I the glass small, like, and he's clear. He's like, that dude's fucking disgusting, B. He said that dude's disgusting, B. Because I've got you. And then Angelo's fancy with his shit. He got a fucking like a blazer with corduroy, like elbow pad. He's like, I'll have a seltzer. And the dude is still like the dude is sitting right in front of us.
It's working.
And like he's like, he's supposed to when you take off from the plane. He's supposed to recline. He reclined and he's dancing.
Oh.
And he's like, and he looks back. He goes, God damn, who got Hennessy? I need to get drunk. And he's like, he's talking like that. Abusive, bro. And Angelo's looking at me, he's like, yo, this dude is abusive. And the dude is like asking for popcorn, shrimp, and Hennessy. And,
oh my god!
It was the dude was a problem, man. He was at the whole flight. He was just fucking and then he finally fell asleep, man.
So happy.
He fell out.
Yo, so sir,
that shit, that was a fond memory, and I have a bunch of those stories, right? But that was one that I always like to share because it really does capture, like Angelo trying to be a peacemaker, but also his words, his jargon, like, that dude's disgusting, B. So funny.
So, sir, the last segment before we go is called "Let's Look Inside," and there's 3 questions for the segment, and it's whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be this long thing, but whatever comes to you, and let it out. So, the first question for "Let's Look Inside" is, "What do you love about yourself?"
Discipline. I feel like I'm a very disciplined person.
The second question.
Shit I don't want to do. I fuck it.
The second question is, what does the American dream mean to you?
Oh man, that's a loaded question during these times.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's very complicated. I know what it should mean.
What does it mean to you?
Yeah, take your time. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't really know. I really don't. I really don't. I can't answer. I mean, I think what it should be is how it's presented, like equality and freedom for all. But it's been unveiled. That doesn't really exist on many different levels. But if that could be exercised, I think the way it's been said over and over would be ideal, but it has a lot of fixing to do.